Somewhere in the deep past, before cane sugar, before honeycomb, before fruit itself had a name, there was a taste we were born already knowing how to want. Put a drop of something sweet on a newborn's tongue and watch what happens. No lesson required, no memory to draw on, just an ancient, wordless yes. That reflex is older than language, arguably older than our species, and the story of where it came from involves a genetic mistake, a wild bird that learned to speak to us, and a bet our ancestors made with their own bodies, a bet that's still being paid off every time you reach for something sweet today. 6 million years ago, our ancestors moved through forests that rewarded exactly one kind of gambler. A ripe fig could vanish within hours, stripped by wasps, monkeys, birds, gravity. Miss it, and you might not eat that day. So nature did something quietly ruthless. It made sweetness feel like winning. Creatures who felt a small thrill tasting sugar remembered where to find it again, and passed that hunger on. But fruit was only the beginning. Deep in a cave system in eastern Spain, the Cuevas de la Araña, there's a painting believed to be around 8,000 years old. It shows a human figure hanging from ropes, reaching into a crevice in the rock, surrounded by what are unmistakably disturbed bees. It's one of the oldest records we have of a moment that shaped the human diet more than almost anything else. Someone climbing toward pain to reach something almost pure sugar. Honey is roughly 80% sugar by weight. Nothing else in the ancient landscape came close, and it wasn't rare. Anthropologist Alyssa Crittenden, studying the Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last honey hunting societies left on Earth, found seasons where honey rivals or even outweighs meat as a source of calories. For a hunter-gatherer, that's not a treat. That's one of the richest foods on the entire landscape. Here's the part that stops most people cold. Humans didn't find that sugar alone. In parts of Africa, honey hunters are led straight to wild hives by a small bird called the greater honeyguide. It calls. The humans follow, and once the nest is broken open, the bird eats the wax and larvae left behind. For years, this sounded like folklore. Then biologist Claire Spottiswoode ran the field study and confirmed it. The birds respond to specific human calls developed for exactly this purpose, passed down for generations among people like the Yao of Mozambique. It isn't a fable. It's a working alliance between two species, built entirely around sugar, and it may be tens of thousands of years old. That should stop you, because this wasn't one species stumbling onto sweetness alone in the dark. It was cooperation. A wild bird and an ape, bound by the same craving, solving the same problem together. Which raises an uncomfortable question. Why would a human body evolve to want something this badly that it would climb a cliff, risk hundreds of stings, and follow a stranger's whistle just to get it? The answer isn't in the honey. It's in a mistake. At some point in the ancestry of great apes, a single gene stopped working, the one that normally clears uric acid from the body. Physiologist Richard Johnson and colleagues have proposed that losing this gene made our ancestors dramatically more efficient at converting fruit sugar into stored fat. In lean seasons, that would have been a quiet advantage. But over evolutionary time, it may have done something far bigger. It didn't just make us like sugar. It made the body need it, in a way most other primates never do. In other words, the craving came first. The gene had already rigged the game. The bird, the bees, the cliffs. Those were just symptoms of an appetite our biology had already decided we couldn't say no to. Not every old idea survives contact with the evidence, though. Across cultures, honey is often painted as an almost magical, endless gift, something the gods simply provided. The Archaeology tells a rougher story. Egyptian temple reliefs at Abu Ghurab, dated to around 2400 BCE, show organized beekeeping already underway. Smoke, hives, deliberate harvest. Humans hadn't just discovered wild sugar. They'd started managing its source, turning a craving into labor, and labor into agriculture. And that's really the hinge of the whole story. The same appetite that sent someone up a rock face for a few mouthfuls of concentrated calories didn't disappear when honey became easy to buy. It followed us, into refined cane sugar, into corn syrup, into a food supply where sweetness now waits on every shelf, unguarded, unlimited, no cliffs required. The wiring never updated. The body still reacts, as if every gram were rare. So here's the part almost nobody expects. We like to think of ourselves as the species that conquered sugar, bred it, refined it, industrialized it, built empires on it. But the craving itself was never ours to invent. It was written into primates millions of years before Homo sapiens existed, tested on fruit, sharpened by a broken gene, and eventually handed down to us fully formed. We weren't the first species addicted to sugar. We simply inherited the addiction, and then built a world where the instinct that once made survival possible could never switch off again.